Drake, a little bit of a shift coming in the Big 12 this year. I know that it was TTU's conference this year. Could it be BYU's next year? The Athletics certainly think so.
Yeah, interesting. Greg Wrubell, who is the voice of the BYU Cougars, posted the Athletics poll they did internally with their staff. And, okay, I'm going to do this. Look, I get it. I'm wearing a BYU hat today. It was given to me for free. It's a really cool hat. And obviously, I support the BYU Cougars because they win and they're easy to root for in Big 12 play. They become a massive brand. There is no way. And look, again, I will say this with love. Everybody sit down, and I'm going to say it slowly. There is no way this league belongs to anyone except for Texas Tech until proven otherwise. The Athletic, their internal vote, 13 votes for first place BYU out of the Big 12 to be in the college football playoff and win this conference. They're actually, BYU was third in the nation in their internal vote on teams that missed the playoff in 2025 but will make the playoff in 2026 with Notre Dame and Texas right there beside the Cougars. That's pretty cool. But this Big 12 poll specifically, 13 votes for BYU, 11 for Texas Tech, 2 for Houston, 1 for Arizona, 1 for Arizona State. I do think there's a very good chance that is the top 5 next year in the Big 12. I could certainly see that. But BYU, as good as I think they'll be with linebacking core, the best linebacking core in the Big 12, and Bear Bachmeier back at quarterback, and the way that they have revamped offensively by not having to reload and just bringing everybody back, that's cool. Parker Kingston, LJ Martin, that's cool. But Texas Tech is the best team in the Big 12. They beat BYU by double digits both times this year. And you know what, TJ? I think most BYU fans would agree with this, that it is Texas Tech's league until somebody else takes it from them. And I'm just not sure if I understand why the Athletic put BYU above Texas Tech. And honestly, I think Houston even should get a little bit more love than they're receiving in polls like this.
When you look at BYU's schedule and Texas Tech's schedule, what's hard about this is Texas Tech has it set up pretty well to have a nice season. And I do think BYU's is a little bit tougher. Not that they've ever backed down from a challenge, not that they don't welcome it and say, bring it on, man. We're either going to be good or not. Let's play who we have to play. But that may be the most surprising part to me. Now, I understand that Bear Bachmeier coming back is a big deal, and Sorsby coming in is a question mark. I don't know that it's a complete certainty. But, man, when I look at the schedules, if you let me pick which schedule I wanted to play, I would probably lean Texas Tech. That's not trying to be scared, but, man, I want to rank up as many wins as I can.
BYU plays Notre Dame. Like Notre Dame's in the middle of that schedule, and they might win that game as a marquee game, but Texas Tech's not having to play Notre Dame. They play Oregon State, Washington State. When you're like, Texas Tech's going to be okay. BYU's non-conference, they go to Colorado State, who will be revamped this year. They play Notre Dame, who's a top 10 team. Like, TJ, that kind of sucks. Like, that's not fun.
They have the games against, all the powers. Utah, Cincinnati, Baylor, with DJ Lagway there now. Iowa State, Arizona State. Well, I guess Iowa State lost just about everybody on their team, so maybe I'll scratch them off the idea. But at TCU, it's a tough schedule. And I know everybody in the Big 12, we talk about parity, we talk about all those things. But, it is not easy. And so, that is really interesting to me that they have them won. Are they just trying to be different? Are they just trying to do what people accuse us of trying to clickbait people into it and get us talking? I mean, they did their job. If so, get us talking about it in early February.
Maybe. And I think a piece of this they are looking at, and if you asked, On Three is who did it, the talent composite they've built based on who transferred out, who's graduating, who's going to the NFL draft versus who came in from the freshman ranks, the transfer portal ranks. BYU and Texas Tech are two of the top teams in the Big 12, right there with Houston, actually, for gaining more than they lost. The war of attrition, the positive attrition that they found in their programs. Yeah, BYU lost a few guys. Texas Tech lost a few guys, but they weren't really big contributors last year, and they weren't going to be huge contributors this next season. The coaching staff was retained for Texas Tech. For BYU, you kept your head coach, and now you feel like you've got an upstart defensive coordinator who's going to replace Jay Hill just fine. I do like these two teams at the top of the conference, and you already mentioned the schedule. I think the Big 12 schedule, the way it looks for Texas Tech, is cake. I mean, and I want everyone at Texas Tech to understand when I say that it's not. I have no offense. I'm not mad at you. That's not a bad thing. You should rejoice in that. You should be a Texas Tech fan like, yeah, we got a great shot to go undefeated this year, win the Big 12 all over again. It's a good thing for you that some of your toughest games, like Houston and Arizona State, will be home games. Arizona will be a home game. TCU is a home game. Your road matchups, Oklahoma State, we don't know what they'll be this year. Cincinnati, we don't know what they'll be this year. Colorado, we don't think they're going to be very good this year. For Texas Tech, they're okay. For BYU, I think what the Athletic is doing here is they're saying, oh, look at all the continuity. And I love continuity. But TJ, we also have to remember, BYU played a lot of one-score games last year. They played a lot of one-score games and a lot of come-from-behind games where they had to go win it gritty late. Georgia Tech was the apex of that in their bowl game, and it felt like the same script of their entire season. Most of the time. Now, I want to also say BYU played a lot of one-score games in 2024. Didn't mean that 2025 they were bad. Everybody's like, oh, one-score games are going to flip. They're going to suck. They didn't. They were very good at winning one-score games again. But at some point, what goes up must come down. And when it comes down, BYU still may be 9-3 or 10-2. But I do think having them at number one above Texas Tech doesn't sit right with me and should not be the case right now.
I also wonder, teams are not the same year over year. And so you can't say that, oh, just because this happened last year that it's going to happen again next year. I do expect BYU to, well, they don't play them in the regular season, but if they were to play them in Arlington, I would expect that game to be a little closer, though Texas Tech kind of had their way both times. And I do like the Sorsby pickup. But I also wonder, man, like, unfortunately for BYU, which I wanted BYU to win that Big 12 championship game. I wanted to see them both in the playoff. So I was openly rooting for BYU. I think everybody in the conference was, maybe with the exception of Texas Tech specifically, and maybe Utah too. I did want to see BYU win that. So all that said, I also, man, these teams were not necessarily close. Like Texas Tech was head and shoulders over everybody in the Big 12 last year. And so to think that they either drop off enough or BYU rises enough to, in February, do this. Now, if we got through spring, we got through summer, maybe even that first month of the season, and we said, yeah, these two teams do look a little different, I could certainly say, yeah, BYU might be your favorite right now. But to do it this early, I don't know, feels interesting to me. Feels off.
Yeah. I am, and also that's a big piece of this is the way too early rankings just are way too early. That's the beauty of it. You look at the on-3 ranking, they have LSU above BYU. LSU sucked last year. They lost to a Big 12 team in their bowl game. That there are teams that are being overvalued. Michigan, TJ, Michigan and Utah on that on-3 composite were number 68 and 69 respectively in the country in talent they brought in versus talent that left the program. Like both those schools lost a lot of good guys, and both those schools lost their head coach, and they failed in the transfer portal to make a bunch of splashes with 5-star players and a myriad of 4-star players. So there's a big question mark around Michigan. There's a big question mark around Utah, but still in these way too early rankings, number 13 Michigan, number 15 Utah. You're like, all right, okay. The brand, and it's good for the Big 12 that Utah has a brand good enough to be ranked in the top 25 almost. They were 5-7 in 2024 and were ranked in the top 25 in 2025 going into the year. And they should have been, and they backed that up. But these way too early rankings are exactly that. They're far too early for us to deduce anything. I think the Athletic will realize here in a few months, oh no, Texas Tech is still Texas Tech. Oh, baby, today's show is brought to you by Indeed. Look, man, Indeed is the spot to go. Indeed's super easy. You can download the app. You can go to their website, and I do it pretty frequently, actually, just to see what's out there. Because hiring isn't just about finding someone willing to take the job. Indeed-sponsored jobs is the move where you can find quality candidates to work for you. I am looking for a brand new intern for Locked On Big 12. Indeed's the spot to do that. It's where I'm going to do that. Skills, certifications, location. It makes it really easy for me to find the right candidate within like 12 hours. I'm hiring. I don't want just someone who can help. I want someone with real experience who can jump right in. Here's a stat that says it all. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. Indeed sponsored jobs. Listeners of this show get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get the job, the premium status you need. Indeed.com/podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Do it the right way with Indeed.